So, next I'm going to go ahead and take this time to introduce our speaker tonight. That is, I'm so cognizant of trying to get people's names right, and I always feel like I'm right on the edge of this, so please correct me if I'm wrong, but it's Vivek Malek.
Vivek.
Vivek Malek.
Like in cake.
Like in cake. Vivek Malek. Thank you, sir. And he is our state treasurer for the state of Missouri. Vivek was born in India and earned his law degree before moving to America and receiving his MBA from SEMO and his Master of Law from the University of Illinois. He famously came to America with 2 suitcases and $300 in his pocket. Vivek built a successful legal business assisting legal immigrants on their path to achieving the American dream. He was appointed by Governor Mike Parson to succeed Scott Fitzpatrick as Treasurer of Missouri, taking office at the beginning of this year. Vivek has said, "I am blessed to have truly lived the American dream. I owe so much to America and Missouri, and I want to give back. America is a place of unlimited possibilities where you can achieve anything if you work hard and get an education. This is the American dream." I love that. I love that. Please help me welcome Missouri State Treasurer Vivek Malek.
Thank you very much. I'm not tall as you are, so. Thank you very much. It's wonderful to be here in Jefferson County among conservatives. I guess I never listened to my parents. I was always a rebel. They told me, become an engineer, become a doctor, and I became a lawyer.
It must be so disappointing.
And then everybody told me, you're too much involved in politics. When I was involved in the background, not actively during these years when I was here. And I did not listen to that. And some people say, you're not a smart man getting into politics because you have a good business. Why would you leave that and get into politics and also lose all the earning or the capacity that you have in making money? But to be honest, I was in practice of law for 18 years and could have continued doing that for the rest of my life happily. But there's always a point in your life when you think, is this all I'm going to do? Because there is some point where you think, well, I received so much, how do I give back? How do I pay forward what I received? And for me, that was through public service. And I was fortunate that I received that opportunity initially in 2020 when I was appointed to the SEMO Board of Governors. And there are several stories when I was there in SEMO, and I guess that was being noticed in Jeff City, and I was asked to apply when this position became vacant, when I had no clue what the Treasurer's Office actually does. Well, let me know if you know what the Treasurer's Office does. And in fact, when I got into the position, after 3 weeks or so, a couple of legislators I met in hall, and they stopped me and congratulated me, and they said, well, we know Treasurer's Office is a statewide position, but we exactly do not know what you do. And can you explain what you do? And I thought to myself and said, as I was still learning that time, I said, you know what? Let me hold your per diem checks for 2 weeks, and then maybe you will know what we do. But jokes apart, I think this is the most benevolent office in the whole administration. A lot of people don't know that. And I think this probably, Mr. Parson was very visionary when he thought about me for this position, because that was what my interview was all about. And I think this position fit very well with all I wanted to do. This is the office which is all about giving back and how you give back. So first of all, we have to start with a little exercise here. Everybody I know has smartphones today. So if you will take out your smartphones and type in showmemoney.com, and there are only two things that you have to fill out, your first name and your last name. And then you hit the search button. You may or may not want to put the city, because if you have moved across the state, you may not want that. But let's see how many people can find they have unclaimed property.
I did it earlier today at $16.31.
Good. So in Jefferson County, there are 290,000 accounts with over $21 million in unclaimed property. That belongs to you, not to the government. So I say, come and claim it. And I have sort of a love-hate relationship with unclaimed property, because I hate it because it's not government's money, it's people's money, it's your money, and it belongs to you. But we sit on it forever and ever and ever. And the love is because I get to give it back and put a smile on faces. The smile I got the first day I stepped into the office, and I was given a $476.34 check. And I said, what is this for? And they said, well, this is your unclaimed property, but we did not we felt that it is not right for you to sign your own check. So whether we talk about, so did anybody find anything? Good.
16 cents, you can have it.
Absolutely, we will have it, because we are soon going to give you an option to donate that money to another program that is run by the Treasurer's Office, and which is a wonderful program, and you will hear shortly about that. So whether it is unclaimed property we are talking about, or it is the most 529 college savings account, I hope that you have utilized that too for your kids, grandkids, nephews, nieces, friends' kids. Or it is the Mo Able program that helps disabled kids, people to shore up some money that grows over time. Or it is the Mo Bucks program, through which we help our businesses and farmers lower their interest rates on their loans by up to 30 to 35%. So all these programs that we run, in addition to the investments that we do for our state's money, by growing that money, getting the interest on that, the right, what you call, bang for our buck. So I say this office is all about growing the value of your money in whatever form and shape, whether it is in the state's funds, or it is in the 529 fund or Mo Able fund, or giving back through Mo Bucks. It is all about giving back, and that suited me perfectly for what I wanted to do with public service. But in last 8 months since I have been in office, we have done some wonderful things. In the first 6 months, I returned the most amount of unclaimed property any treasurer ever has in their first 6 months. So we have broken all records in that. And I would urge, since we have Executive Dennis Gannon sitting here, if they would put a link on their county website for our unclaimed property that can help people in Jefferson County to get to that money, that will be very helpful. I lost my train of thought, but so these 8 months we have done a lot of things. We have stood up the program called Mo Scholars, where we helped about 1,500 students get what is called a school choice program. And this is, I want everybody to pay attention to this, because this is one of those programs which can give those kids an option to go to a program, a school, whether it is a different public school or charter school or a private school, by getting that scholarship. They apply, and State Treasurer's Office offers them a $6,350 in scholarship. They can use that money and utilize it to go to a school of their choice. The unique part is how we get the money for the scholarship. That's not through state appropriations. That's your money, and you as a business or individual can donate towards this. And any donation you make, you get 100% dollar for dollar tax credit for your state, towards your state taxes. So let's say if you owe the state $5,000, you can donate $2,500 towards this program and get a dollar for dollar tax credit for that. It's not a deduction, it's a tax credit. So you will still be paying the same amount, but that is not going to general revenue where you don't know what it's going to be used for. You know that my $2,500 is going to help some kid get a better education. So I would say, please look up moscholars.com or treasure.mo.gov about this program. I think you'll be intrigued what a uniquely innovative program we have. I think my story, if I go back 22 years ago when I came to this country, most of people can relate to that because either they themselves or their parents or grandparents at one point came to this country in the same situation that I was. I got my education in India, was born and raised. I was 24 years old and wanted to get a better education, further education. And I decided to come to the United States at that time. Took my exams, took my tests, had wonderful scores. And I applied, got my visa as a student visa, international student visa. And that was my first flight ever of life at the age of 24. I had never flown before. And 14 hours long from New Delhi to Chicago. And you can imagine if you have never flown before, how it would feel if there's a little turbulence. And I got to Chicago, and such a big airport. Our instruction language for our academics was English, but we did not speak English in normal conversation. It was Hindi, what we usually spoke. So it was hard trying to make sense what I was trying to say. And somehow I made to my gate to St. Louis, and there were a lot of firsts for me. Coming from India, which had recently opened up as a capitalist, semi-capitalist country, we didn't have all these overpasses, big bridges, big roads. So I was in awe as I just rode through after I reached St. Louis, and I had a van which drove me to Cape Girardeau. But it was Saturday night and August 11th, and the lady driver who dropped me in Cape Girardeau at a place where I had made some arrangements for another student to stay for a few days. That student was not there. So I kept knocking on the door, nobody answered. And she said, well, nobody's home, it's party night. So she helped me put my bags back into the van and said, where do you want to go? I said, I do not know, I have nobody I know in this country. That was my only contact. And so she took my bags. I was in a hurry because she had to get back home. It was 10:30 at night. Dropped me at the Cape Girardeau police station. And if you're coming from a country like India, you do not go to police. Police means bad news. That means you don't go to police station to seek help. And I was trembling and trying to explain to the officer it is not my fault that the person was not at the house. But he was very nice and kind, and he helped me to tell me how to dial out of the police station using their phone, and gave me a Yellow Pages book and said, dial some hotels. And I dialed a few hotels. The rates were $59, $69, and I was calculating how much it would be in rupees, because dollar at that time was 48 rupees, and I just could not afford it because I only had $300, and I had to live off of that $300 for the first month and a half till my grad assistantship would kick in. So finally, about fourth try, I got somebody on the phone, said, Budgetin, this is Pushpa Patel, how may I help you? I'm like, okay, do you speak Hindi first of all? And she said, yes. So I told her all my saga, what happened, and she said, don't worry, I'm going to send you a cab. So she sent a cab, I got to the hotel, it was about 11:30 at night. And I I was really hungry because my last meal was on the plane about 28 hours ago or something. And I said, is there anything, any restaurant or something I can go to? She said, 11:30, small town, Cape Girardeau, everything's closed, but we have some leftovers if you would like those. I said, sure. So she heated up the leftovers, brought to my room, and I literally cried that night because as a foreign national coming to a country where you don't know anybody and the first night you get Indian meal, home cooked Indian food, what are the odds? So for me, I said, this is a sign from God. I belong to this place. And I will tell you exactly that it was the plan of God, because at that time I met some wonderful people. I don't know if you know those names or not, but I met a lady by the name Mary Caston. Mary Caston was a state rep back in the 80s, the only Republican state rep from Cape Girardeau back in those days. And she kind of took me under her wing. I stayed at her place as an international student, and she was my American mom during that time. And God bless her, she's still there. She's 94, but I just love her to death. And then through her I met the Kinder family, the Limbaugh family, which kind of helped me shape who I am today.
Yeah.
So, but it was exactly that 1 month before September 11 happened, the terrible day of tragedy that when the terrorists attacked us. And boy, that was a changing moment in my life when I saw how all Americans came together in patriotism. And after that, I did not only study business, I studied America, I studied American principles of freedom, opportunity, hard work. And I fell in love and I decided I want to become an American citizen. It was a long journey for me to become an American citizen. 16 years it took me to become an American citizen. But I did become one the legal way, the right way. And then helped everybody else who, through my practice, who wanted to achieve their American dream. And I was just fortunate enough that I got this opportunity to give back whatever I got, the blessings. And one of the reasons why I got into this is because I have 3 young kids. And I don't see the direction we are going, they will have the future or the opportunities that I had or you had. And I want to make sure that they also get those opportunities. So that was one of my motivating factors. I was always involved some way, however I could help some good candidates. And I knew Governor Parson since 2014 when he was in the Senate. We were great friends, him and his wife Teresa, wonderful people. And I got the opportunity initially at Cape Girardeau, and then again in December of last year when I was appointed. And I was thinking in my head that he put a condition that you'll have to run statewide next year, and 24. And I said yes, and I was thinking in my head, man, it will be a hard task to tell people how to pronounce my first name. And then comes along Vivek Ramaswamy. And now people are telling me, how do I pronounce my name? You don't pronounce your name as Vivek. You pronounce your name as Vivek, like in cake, right? I said, yeah, you're right. So it's funny how things have been, and I am greatly appreciative of all the blessings I have received in this country. And I think people who, especially to kids, I tell them that if you're born in this country, you do not know, you already won a lottery. All you need to do is how you utilize that. Sky is the limit for you if you are focused, hardworking, and you get an education. So when I took this office, I kind of made a policy in the office that we will make every decision by scrutinizing them against 3 P's. The first P, protect taxpayers' money. So any decision we make it based on that. So I have been fighting very hard from the day one against all these woke Wall Street ESG DEI policies when we make those decisions in investing our state dollars. Whether it is the money in the Mosers, we pulled out, my predecessor pulled out $600 million from BlackRock in that, and we are continuing to do that whole thing against the ESG mandate. DEI, I supported President Moon Choi of University of Missouri system when he took a stand to go against DEI in recruiting the faculty members and staff. And I applauded him and wrote an op-ed supporting him, which in 3 hours got 40,000 views on Twitter. Was greatly appreciated. So we every day fight with those woke policies. So that was the first P, protecting taxpayers' dollars. Second, providing opportunities through the programs that I said. It's all about giving back, whether it is the most scholars or the more bucks. Recently, we rolled out, about 3 weeks ago, Farmers Relief Loan Program, and we dedicated $100 million towards that. Within 2 weeks, we received about $40 million worth of applications in that program. And that is for farmers who have been impacted because of the drought that hit our state. So 177 counties, if you are a farmer or rancher, if you know one who is in need of a credit or money, they should look into applying for that. The last date of application is October 13, or unless we run out of money before that. And the third P, which I consider myself very dear to close to my heart, is promoting the promise of America. The American dream, which is still very much well and alive. So, I am proud to be a conservative, to be Republican, because of the shared values that we have. Values such as protecting the unborn, family values, protecting our Second Amendment rights to make sure we save our families and our homes. And I tell you, the last 2.5 years that we have seen under Bidenomics, that has just devastated every place in this country. And we cannot have the hell we have faced for the last 2.5 years going forward. No more 4 years of Biden we can have. And I am sure that the right people will take a right decision, put things right next November. But I am so blessed to have this opportunity to serve and give back and pay forward. And I'll work very hard. I'm working with, I already put like 40,000 miles going across, telling about all these things that we do from our treasurer's office, which a lot of people don't know. And I'll be just very appreciative for your support comes next August. So again, my name is Vivek Malek, and I will be running in 2024 again to stay in the same position. We had a lot of rollover in the last 6 years. We need some stability in this office. So thank you very much. God bless you all. God bless our great state. I am open to questions if you have some.
All right, well, I have some questions. I'll prime the pump. That's what we call it, priming the pump. All right. So first question that I have is, you mentioned one of the main duties is to return the property, right?
Unclaimed property.
Where does a lot of that unclaimed property come from?
So, as a treasurer, the main duty is to be the custodian of the state funds. But over the years, all these things have been put into treasurer's office because they have found this is a place where they can put in trust. This used to be with the Economic Development Office before, but I believe since 1990s, the unclaimed property has been with the state treasurer's office. And a lot of this money comes from if you had a refund check for your taxes from the state and you moved, you did not get it or lost in mail. If you were part of a class action lawsuit where you were not aware that you were receiving something and you got that piece, a lost payroll check. It could be, we had one time, as soon as I came in the first 3 days, we gave out $1 million, more than $1 million in unclaimed property to a person who was the beneficiary of an insurance proceed, life insurance proceed. Sometimes you don't know if you're a beneficiary or not, and if the insurance company cannot track you down, they will send the money to the unclaimed property. So I'm sure that person was pretty happy. So that's how you get the unclaimed property. But in addition to that, you have safety deposit boxes, and we usually every year receive about 1,000 plus safety deposit boxes every year. And those are basically if you or your parents or grandparents had a safety deposit box and they forgot about it or they passed away and they did not exercise a nominee on that, and the bank will then break open that safety deposit box, send it to the treasurer's office. If you had one and you forgot about it and it was, the dues were not paid, and after 5 years the bank will claim it and then send the contents to the treasurer's office. And we actively try to find the owners of those contents, and after 5 years, if you're unable to find the owner, then we put that on auction, and there's an auction every year. This year the auction is happening in Southeast Missouri because never in Treasurer's history an auction happened in Southeast Missouri. It was always in Columbia, Missouri. So I said, we need to spread that love. We need some economic activity in Southeast Missouri. So I brought, for the first time, the auction to Cape Girardeau. It is going to happen on 27th and 28th September. The display of the items will be, the preview will be on 26th September. It is at the Drury Hotel Convention Conference Center, and we have over 21,000 display things on display. So 2,100, sorry, 2,100. Yeah, that was too much. My bad.
I was looking through the
Yeah.
book today. It's pretty extensive. It's everything from watches to coins, anything that you would expect to see in a safety
Yeah,
deposit
there's a
box.
journal of somebody who visited the Vatican in Rome. That is also on auction.
Lots of books.
Yes. We had a curling iron from 1800, if somebody's interested in that.
Chris, you had a question?
Yes.
Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. So starting with Brighton's 2 years and then, Parson finishing that and getting his own term. We've seen a lot of turnover in statewide office, and some of that is because the folks who have been elected have used it as a stepping stone to move on to the national stage or what some may consider a higher statewide office. I'm wondering if you're elected at 24, will you finish your term?
I will finish my term because the reason I did not seek this office is just to get into a political sphere where I just climbed the ladder. I came to the thought process that as our forefathers, founding fathers came into these offices, they came with a thought process that you take time from your regular occupations, serve, and then go back to your regular occupations. So it was very clear from my interview that I am going to serve my terms and then provide the stability that this office needs. So I'm not looking to run for any other office. Definitely not for the next 4 years.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any other questions? Mr. Bingaman?
I enjoyed your story very much. I understand you're from Cape Girardeau, and you mentioned the Limbaugh family.
Right.
Can you exaggerate a little bit about that? How you know them, or?
Well, I was introduced by Mary Caston, who Mary's mom for pretty much everybody, and so just to give you a brief, my inauguration was on January 17th. So Peter Kinder, our Lieutenant Governor, was my MC at that event, and Judge Stephen Limbaugh Jr. Was who administered me the oath of office. I served with, I was member of the Rotary Club with Stephen Limbaugh Jr. for about 4 years when I was in Cape Girardeau. And my relationship goes back to about 2004, 2005 with them. So with him, Marsha, his wife, his brother Jim Limbaugh, who I also served on the board of SEMO this last 3 years before I got appointed, his son Chris Limbaugh, David Limbaugh, cousin. So I have known the whole family for a long time.
Thank you so much for coming out today. Round of applause for
You let me easy. I thought there would be a swath of questions. You let me easy. Thank you. Thank you very much.